everyone, it's Valvis Alarm here, and I was kind of looking through some of my videos, and I was kind of actually noticed something that I actually haven't never truly, talked about, sort of my gaming history and my sort of how I got into it. So I thought it would just be sort of a fun little thing to sort of put together about, how I got into gaming and sort of my little short history in this video. And at least I'm gonna try to remember everything. Now everything is such a blur that I'm sure I'm gonna forget a lot of great games that I've forgotten in the past, but I just thought it'd be fun to sort of just do a video and just talk about some of the how I got into gaming and stuff like that. And the first system, at about 5 years old, which is pretty. Every time I've always talked to people about, at what age, you gone into gaming, I always find that like the majority of people is always at about 5 years old, which I thought was kind of interesting. There's always that number right there. Obviously people have gotten it in younger and some people have gotten it in a little late, but I always thought that was sort of fascinating. And my first system, when I actually lived in Puerto Rico, was actually the NES. Obviously Mario, Duck Hunt. These were the games, my first games ever. I still remember that really crappy gun that you got with Duck Hunt. You have to be like 3 inches away from the TV screen in order to do any kind of reaction to what was going on the game. And just games like Contra and Mike Tyson Punch Out and just so many games. It was just a blast at 5 years old to sort of play these games. And it was just as a kid seeing these something move on screen that I have full control over. It's not a movie, it wasn't anything else. Like, I have control of what was going on screen. That to me was really, really amazing. It's kind of felt like I was in my own world, and I have full control over it. And then next after that, I actually had the Game Boy. I guess you can see the black and white or the green or whatever you want to call the screen. And to me, every portable device for me has always been only one thing always sort of came up was Kirby. That was my first game on the Game Boy. Tetris was another game, but Kirby for some reason has always been the game for me when it comes to portable gaming. That was my first game. I perhaps put more hours into that game than anything else, and it was just it was actually really great to see Kirby sort of come back on the Wii. What was it called? The Kirby Epic Yarn. To see that come back and have like a new visual flair in a way, and to see people get excited for that was really a cool feeling. And I don't think Kirby gets enough credit as being one of Nintendo's sort of high profile, I guess you can say, characters. And then it was the Super NES. It's just everything. Super Mario World, Super Mario All Stars, everything that was Mario I was still into. And just Mortal Kombat was coming out, and Donkey Kong. I always still feel that Donkey Kong's, I think that was the first game that really, the art, the sort of artistic look of that game really, for some reason, really blew me away. It was really just, at least for me, I mean, I haven't seen anything like it, so I don't think Donkey Kong gets enough credit on their sort of art department in a way when it first came out. It was still a very unique looking game, and definitely one of my favorites. Zombies Ate My Neighbor, Street Fighter 2, you guys all know this stuff. It's really great games that we've all sort of, grown up and loved and played for hours and hours. That was also a moment in my life where I was a huge sports fan. I was big on the NBA, NBA Live 96, Bulls versus Lakers, Michael Jordan versus Larry Bird, Bulls versus Blazers. A time where my whole family was into WWF. It was just really great. WWF WrestleMania, you name the game, I basically played that wrestling game. It was just, I couldn't stop playing those kind of games. It was really a great, just fun experience. And then there was the Sega Genesis, which It was just, it was Sonic, man. That was it. I think I played Power Rangers too, actually. There was a few Power Ranger games I remember my neighbor having, and we played that for quite a bit. But it was that time, those few years, man, it was all about Sonic, and it was definitely a blast. And then came the PlayStation 1, where, I got a chance to play games like Chrono Cross and Rayman and Crash Bandicoot and, Resident Evil 2, Tony Hawk, just a lot of great, great games. At that time I was still into WWF, so SmackDown, WWF Attitude, WCW versus the World. I was still in deep with those kind of games, but it was definitely Metal Gear Solid and Legend of Dragoon were the games that really sort of opened my eyes to what, the media could be in the future, from both a story sense and an artistic sense. I mean, those two games really were the reasons why I look at games the way I do today and why I have so much of a found respect for it was because of those two games, and definitely the two of my favorite games of all time. And it was just from characters and how it just built up to the final moments of each game. It was really a mesmerizing moment. Was really when those two games came out. So Legend of Dragoon and Metal Gear Solid. Really, there's been plenty of great games, but those were the two that really defined that generation for me. And then it was the Nintendo 64, where you had, Mario Party and WWF WrestleMania and Turok and GoldenEye and just so many great games. Super Mario 64, Blitz, it was just so many great games. That was also when I got a little bit into Pokemon too. So Pokemon Snap, Pokemon Stadium, that was also when I played my first Pokemon game, which was the red one on the DS. Just to kind of check it out. And, it was fun. I definitely understood why, there's this sort of infatuation with that series. So it's definitely a lot of fun, and a little bit surprised they haven't put out a lot of, Pokemon games on the Wii. That was a little bit of a surprise, but still, I mean, I would love to see another Pokemon Stadium. I think that would be kind of cool in a next gen system in HD and better graphics. I think a lot of fans would enjoy that. And then it was the PS2 where, Metal Gear Solid 2 and 3, huge Metal Gear Solid fan, so I had to play those games. Shadow of the Colossus and Eco, very beautiful, and one of the very few games that really tells a story without, actual dialogue, but through actions, which you don't see a lot of games do that, so it's a really, really special game. And Grand Theft Auto, which really, it basically was just the sort of the benchmark for our rated system, that with Mortal Kombat, and having such a pronounced, just, Grand Theft Auto 3, like everyone knows what that is, regardless of whether you're in video games or not. Everyone kind of knows what Grand Theft Auto is, and in a way, kind of put gaming on the map. Maybe not in the best of lights, but it definitely put gaming on the map. And then I'm trying to remember, Jak and Daxter was another great game. I remember seeing Jak and Daxter for the first time and just seeing how beautiful the world was, and it felt like it was vast and you could kind of go anywhere. It was really one of my favorite platformers out there, and I would pray for one day have it come out in HD. I would love to see a Jak and Daxter in HD. God of War, of course, one of the great games that really shown scope in a way that not a lot of games can do. So definitely that, Silent Hill series. I've always been a big Silent Hill fan and always respected the way they told us stories in games and character development and all that stuff. So, it's hard to find a generation that didn't have some sort of influence on me, console-wise generation. And then you have the current consoles, which we're still, from the time of this video, we're still in the midst of. But Metal Gear Solid 4 is my favorite game of this generation, with Mario Galaxy 2 is sort of the closest you can get to a perfect game. It was just, it shows that Mario is still kicking, you know, even after 30, 40 plus years later, you can still bring out great Mario games and be innovative at the same time. And then you had, you know, Mass Effect. You know, the series to me had some of the great cast of characters that reminds me of Metal Gear Solid, which is why, perhaps the reason why I enjoy the series so much. You know, every character is important to everyone in that, you know, in that world, and definitely one of my favorite science fiction games of all time now because of just what BioWare does. And it was just an amazing, amazing series, and can't wait for part 3 to come out. And you know, Elder Scrolls Oblivion, the way you sort of get out of the tunnel in the beginning of the game, and then you see the vast world for the first time, was definitely one of my favorite openings of this generation. It was just sort of just mind-blowing to sort of see the vast world of, you can kind of go anywhere and do whatever you want, and that was really, really, really special. But I'm just gonna stop it right here. Obviously, I can't go into everything because I only have 15 minutes. But for the people who did watch whatever time this video was used, I appreciate it. All you guys, take care, and see you guys later.